everybody. We're here with President Barack Obama discussing his presidency and his new book, A Promised Land. You write about a trip to Egypt and seeing an ancient hieroglyphic, a painting or a drawing on the wall of one of the pharaonic tombs, that one of your staffers says, boy, that really looks like you. And you saw it, and you imagined the life of that man in the etching, and you said, all of it was forgotten now. None of it mattered. The pharaoh, the slave, the vandal all turned to dust. Just as every speech I delivered, every law I passed and decision I made would soon be forgotten, just as I and all those I loved would someday turn to dust. Are you okay? Because if I saw that, if I saw that in the diary of a 13-year-old girl, I would go, we're going to get you some help. Like this is what look.
I should point out that is in the same chapter that then ends in Normandy.
Yes.
And I guess part of what that chapter is about is, part of how to maintain your equanimity, your steady state in this high pressure job, for me at least, was to take the long view and to remind yourself, look, there are going to be ups and downs. There are poll numbers. There's somebody is aggravating you. You lost a vote on this or that or the other. And just reminding yourselves that in the sweep of history, this is not tragic, what's happening right now. There are bigger things that matter. But you have to keep that in mind, the fact that it all turns to dust, with this other point of view, which is within the time frame of human history that at least we can comprehend, actually what you're doing does matter. And you have to kind of maintain those two ideas at the same time. If you understand the magnitude of what you're doing every single moment, then you're going to be paralyzed. So occasionally you have to pull back and just say, look, you do your best and it'll be okay. But then you also have to say, man, this counts. People's lives are saved. Somebody's going to get health care. Some child's going to get education. If you make this step instead of that step, maybe this country doesn't descend into conflict and civil war. You're going to make mistakes. There are going to be unintended consequences. You got to try anyway.
When you became president, how quickly did you look back at Senator Barack Obama and go, that guy did not know what he was talking about? That guy needs a talking to.
Yeah, look, there were a couple of times where you, particularly around counterterrorism issues, where I think it is different when you're on the sidelines than when you are in the seat and you're seeing coming through the transom just a series of clear, actionable intelligence indicating that some attack might be taking place. And your overriding concern about making sure that the country's safe, how you balance that concern with civil liberties issues, with making sure that you are following the law. There are certain things that for me were clear, bright line rules. We don't torture, we don't indefinitely hold people. But there were other issues where, as a senator, my attitude was, very hard-nosed. We shouldn't be doing this or we shouldn't be doing that. And then when you're in the middle of it, you're thinking, okay, but I really don't want this person to blow up a subway. How do we deal with that?
Would you put the drone program into the thing that your Senator Barack Obama did not understand as well as President Barack Obama? Because that is something you got a lot of criticism over.
And the drone program, which I deal with more in the second volume, because what I actually discovered was that the concerns were both legitimate but not always understood. The problem with the drone program was not that it caused an inordinate amount of civilian casualties, although even one civilian casualty is tragic. But it actually, the drones probably had less collateral damage, which is the antiseptic way of saying it killed people who were innocent and not just targets. Probably had fewer, less collateral damage than if you send in troops, for example, and you're in a firefight, or you're dropping ordnance using conventional pilots. Mm-hmm. The problem is that it starts giving you the illusion that it is not war.
The distance seem sterile.
Yes, and what I discovered, and I write about this in the second volume, the machinery of it started becoming too easy. And I had to actually impose internally a substantial set of reforms in the process to step back and remind everyone involved, this isn't target practice. There are, each time we make this decision, we are engaged in the most profound act that any government can take, which is using lethal force against people, and that there have to be better checks and balances in doing it.
You had a famously unleaky White House.
Yes.
No drama Obama, and there are no leaks in this White House. I've spoken to members, former staff members of yours, who said that there were heated debates over the use of the drones. Yeah. And I said, well, how come we didn't hear about this? Like, for those out here who didn't understand this use of executive power, right. A little leak on those heated debates would have been helpful for us to understand the thinking that went into this.
Yeah, that's part of what I mean about the imbalance where so much of foreign policy and military policy is now entirely housed in the executive branch. That Congress generally is, and this is true for both sides.
You mean both sides of the political aisle?
Both sides of the political aisle. There is a tendency among many members of Congress to say, we'll let the president make a foreign policy decision and then we'll see did it work or not and weigh in.
Right.
Based
we'll
on
keep
how
our powder dry, but not against the enemy, maybe against our political enemies.
And some of this is inevitable. It's one of the challenges of these terrorist networks is that they have, because they're not state actors, you don't have a clear victory. You don't have MacArthur and Hirohito and an armistice. And so you have this entire apparatus of security that's grown up that is somewhat perpetual. And I think one of the big jobs I had was to try to, first of all, not make that the end-all and be-all of our foreign policy, to try to create legal structures around it. And I think that I was successful in a lot of respects, but there's some areas where, like closing Guantanamo, where I couldn't get it done.
Were you surprised you couldn't get it done?
Yes.
That when you got in there, you went, oh, this isn't one move. There are actually chess pieces involved here. There are pressures at play here, deliberately established so that it couldn't be, even though it could be created by fiat, it could not be undone by fiat?
I was surprised at as commander-in-chief, I could not shut down a facility that was both unnecessary and, in my view, contrary to our legal traditions.
Did you ever ask for information they said, we can't tell you?
No, but I will tell you that there were times where I asked for information and that it came slower than I wanted.
Did you ever, when you get in there, just say, like, get me the Declaration of Independence, some lemon juice, and a blow dryer? We're going to Nicolas Cage this boy. We're going to find a treasure map on the back.
There are times where prying information out of the bowels of an agency can be challenging.
UFOs? Any UFOs? Did you ask about that?
Certainly asked about it.
And?
Can't tell you. Sorry.
Okay. All right, I'll take that as a yes. Because if there were none, you'd say there was none, right? You just played your hand. I thought you were a poker player. You just 100% showed your river card.
Feel free to think that.
I do. I do. There's so much
There,
that makes me happy to think that you won't tell me about
Can
UFOs.
I say it used to be that UFOs was the what is it? Roswell was the biggest conspiracy,
Yeah.
and now that seems so tame, right?
Right.
The idea that
Right.
the government might have an
Yeah.
alien spaceship. That's
Now the
nothing.
biggest conspiracy is people in Michigan vote. Let's take another quick break. We'll be right back with more President Barack Obama.
You can feel it